Are you a veteran dealing with the old school way of finding a fulfilling career of resume writing and just hoping by your last boot band that you'll network your way to the right career? Or maybe you're an employer, not only looking to hire, but to retain top veteran talent based on their inherent skill sets. Either one, stay tuned as Robyn Grable of Veterans Ascend will provide the golden grenades to accelerate your hiring initiatives and, if you're a veteran, job satisfaction.
I instantly then got my first job, and I pretty quickly became bored because I was not challenged to use the skills that I had, right?
Right,
And
right.
that's what happens to a lot of veterans when they get out. They don't get their skills aligned to that first job, and they instantly become, they get bored. They're not challenged. They see no advancement.
Thanks to Alpha Coffee. Ambitious Vet, whether you are someone who just likes having a premium subscription bag of coffee come to your doorstep every month or 2 weeks, or you're someone who is more driven off a cause, Alpha Coffee is fuel for your warrior lifestyle. One thing I love about them is they're principle and value driven. They drive everyday just business toward their warrior ethos of awesome coffee, be a warrior, have fun, and giving back. If think about it like this, Ambitious Vet, you're already probably spending $20 a month already on coffee. It might as well go towards a veteran-owned company. Feel free to take advantage of your 10% military discount and additional 10% off to subscribe to your favorite blend. You can easily be getting premium coffee at your doorstep for as little as $16 a month. Well, if you're already just, hey, shut the hell up, Chris, go and explore all their blends, gear, and social impact initiatives by visiting alpha.coffee/ambitious vet. Again, that's alpha.coffee/ambitious vet. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet Podcast. My name is Chris Hoffman. I'm a Marine Corps combat veteran turned social entrepreneur. Here I dive into the trenches with today's most ambitious, goal-oriented, and growth-minded military veterans on the planet, with one mission in mind: to empower you with the golden grenades needed to break through new levels of satisfaction, fulfillment, and success after stability is no longer a challenge to overcome. So, Ambitious Vet, if you haven't already, buckle up. It's time to grow and advance in your life.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life's fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, Ambitious Vet? We're right back inside the trenches today with Robyn Grable. Robyn is the founder and CEO of Veterans Ascend, which she created to connect employers and military talent, improving corporate bottom lines, as well as the lives of America's service heroes and their families. Her unwavering commitment to veteran employment is well served by her corporate and military experience, including more than 30 years of private sector human resources after 9 years of service in the U.S. Navy. Her ongoing study of America's veteran workforce have made her a leading voice on the barriers and keys to success for their employment. She's a seasoned speaker and media resource, earning respect and praise from her peers. Today, she's focused entirely on ensuring veterans and military spouses are recognized for their skills, valued for their talent, and that America's employers realize that full value and skills of America's heroes and military spouses poised in the civilian workforce so they can truly ascend. Robyn, are you there?
I am here, Chris. Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Super exciting. I love how forward-thinking Veterans Ascend is. I've been trying to tell people over the years that, resume, job fairs, all that stuff's outdated and you just get it. I love it.
Exactly. Absolutely. No, it's been a passion of mine for sure. And I'm very, very much into educating the world on how to get rid of a resume and really focus on skills.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff. So, Robyn, if you don't mind, just go ahead and fill the gaps within that introduction. Let us know a little bit more about your background and maybe a personal habit that, some people may not know about you.
Wow, let's see. Okay, well, having served a little shy of 9 years, about 3 months shy of 9 years in the Navy, I loved being in the Navy. It was just such an incredible experience for me. Not that every day was, glorious, but it was a lot of fun, and I did learn a lot. One of the struggles and lessons that came out of when I left the Navy, I didn't realize right away, and I think this happens to a lot of veterans transitioning out of the military, is that you have to learn to talk about you. I didn't know how to talk about me. And I didn't know how to stand up for my skills. So I instantly became undervalued and underpaid when I got out of the Navy and got my first civilian job again. So that was a huge, hard lesson to learn. A habit of myself, I am very, very driven, very passionate about what I do. So, and I'm very stubborn, most people would say. So when it comes to, which makes me kind of perfect for this role, because I am very, very passionate about fighting for the skills recognition of our veterans and our military spouses. And I think I was honestly born to do this job. So I was
Mm.
born to have all the experiences that I've had up to this time, to be able to make Veterans Ascend really be what it needs to be for our military community. So pretty proud of that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you being as persistent and stubborn that you are, because what I realized is being in the community just for 3 years is that to one, speak to a veteran, you have to be stubborn. You got to get past that hard outer shell. And then with employers, they think they know everything. So you've got to be stubborn and get in there and kind of educate them a little bit, kind of, break the old contingency hiring way of thinking with hiring top military talent, right? So that's awesome, awesome stuff. So you said you got out of the Navy after 9 years, right? Got out in 1988.
Yes.
That was the year I was born, Robyn. That
Okay,
was the
Chris,
year I was born.
making me feel old.
No, I'm just saying. No, I mean, what I'm excited about it is that you're going to definitely show us some wisdom and some great perspective here, right? But
Absolutely.
walk us through what those first few years were like for you in 1988, and how you were finding ways to increase your economical value in the marketplace based on your own personal skill sets.
Yeah, so great question. Again, as I mentioned before, I didn't really realize when I first got out of the Navy that I had taken a job and I was instantly underpaid. What I did know, though, is that I did not get that first job aligned with the skills that I had from the military. When I went to the resume writer, they said, go be an administrative assistant. You can get a job easily doing that, because no one's going to understand what you did in the military. The sad part about that is I did data processing in the military, and I was mining data on, submarines. I was updating databases for, Washington national security. I was doing payroll on key punch cards, doing all this computer stuff that was up and coming in the 80s, and I had a lot of skills. So I instantly then got my first job, and I pretty quickly became bored because I was not challenged to use the skills that I had, right?
Right.
And
Right.
that's what happens to a lot of veterans when they get out. They don't get their skills aligned to that first job, and they instantly become, they get bored. They're not challenged. They see no advancement. So it's really, it really became clear to me. And unfortunately, not until several years later, fast forward 12 years after I got out of the Navy, I got a job at a major corporation, very large corporation, doing the exact same job I was doing when I got out of the Navy. So my last job in the Navy was an account executive for their Honeywell computer systems. The Navy had a huge computer capacity. They let civilian companies use the computer programming, and I was their liaison. So to make sure that they were happy with the system, that they were utilizing it. Well, fast forward 12 years, and I got that same job at a major corporation. The sad part about that was I lost that 12 years. I could have had that job instantly out of
Mm.
the Navy because that's what I was doing, right? So I lost that 12 years of true career progression and salary increases, right? So that was a hard lesson to have learned now looking back. So it's really why, again, I'm very passionate about not having that happen to other veterans, making sure that as they're coming out of the military, they're getting that job that's aligned with their skills, that's paying them what they're worth. So when at each job I went to, I was always looking for, what else can I contribute? What is my next role? How can I create a role if I don't have one? And I was
Yeah.
fortunately successful at doing that. And I had some great bosses along the way who recognized that I could do more than they hired me to do. And they allowed me that freedom to create programs, to create ways to help others be promoted. And so, I think it's just that personal initiative. You've got to be always looking out for. Don't accept the status quo. Don't accept that you're in this position and it's all you can do. There's always something else you can contribute to a company. And if the company that you're working for doesn't recognize that, move on.
Yeah.
Find an employer who does recognize that you have more to add to their company than what you were hired for.
No, that's great. And, I go back to 2012 when I transitioned out of the United States Marine Corps. And the first job I got was nightclub security downtown San Diego. And,
Yes.
I was doing the GI Bill thing and, I was doing nightclub security because that's what what I was told every Marine does. Become a cop,
Right.
security, stuff like that. And it was fun for a little bit. But to your point, I just got super bored. I mean, yes,
Absolutely.
I was partying every night, still remind me of my Marine Corps life, but it was kind of just like you got to a point where you outgrew that and you're really looking to, really find more fulfillment, purpose, and contribute at a bigger level. So
Yes.
that's key. And I realized that just even after this is back and forth here, Robyn, was that back then they were telling me what my skill sets were. And I didn't actually do the thinking or whatever to actually understand what they really were. So that makes perfect sense for me. So, you said you got into a big corporation. You did 15 years doing like human capital management, right?
Yes.
That's a long time to be managing human capital, right? So
It is.
it really is. So before we dive into how Veterans Ascend is breaking, just the employment barriers, right, for great military talent and stuff like that, I want to unpackage your human capital and resource experience because that's over a decade of experience there. So what were some bottlenecks that you saw with, just hiring, managing, and also retaining military talent throughout all those years?
Yeah. So again, great question, Chris. It really, I'll kind of step back a minute and talk about, the time I spent in that 15 years, I had 5 different bosses. So before that, I moved like every 3 years, every 2 years, again, because I wasn't utilizing my skills, right? So I would get bored and I'd say, oh, I'm done with this, and I'd move on.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the 15 years didn't seem so long because I got a new boss about every 2 to 3 years. So even though the job was similar, I was working for somebody new, and it made it a little bit different. So a lot of that time was spent consulting, helping Fortune 50 companies with their HR process, with their onboarding, with their payroll process. So I learned a lot of different, every company works differently. What I will tell you is that from a corporation perspective, they didn't invest the time hiring veterans and placing them in the jobs related to their skills. Right. So a lot of companies out there say, oh, we love to hire veterans. We just don't know how to align their skills to our jobs. And because less than 1% of HR managers or HR professionals have any military knowledge, they just don't take the time. And for various reasons, it's not malicious. It's not that they don't want to, it's just they don't have a lot of time to sit and try to figure out how the skills align. So that's really one of the first bottlenecks. Applicant tracking systems, when they were first created, were truly to track applicants, right? And to see how the applicants flowed through your process. Now they're used as filters. So they use applicant tracking systems to filter out people that don't have an education level, people that don't have industry experience at five years, or that type of thing. I always say, I worked for a payroll company for 15 years. Doesn't make me good at payroll. Right? So, but the skills that I have from that experience are what companies should want me to hire me for. So really taking the extra time to invest in aligning the skills of the candidates, the veterans, to the position, not the tasks. That's another bottleneck. Job descriptions are written as a task list, right? What tasks you need to do to perform the job, not what skills are needed to perform the task of the job. Resumes are written as a skills list, right? So therefore the two don't line up. So they instantly have that disconnect. Then the other thing that was a bottleneck is undervaluing veterans. You know, they would say, well, okay, I'll hire you, but I'm going to bring you in at an entry level because I really don't know what your skills are. I really don't know where you fit. So I'll bring you in at an entry level. Well, what happens then is they don't have a path for that veteran to then advance. So they bring them in at an entry level and they sit there. And then they get frustrated, they get bored, and then they leave. So because the company doesn't invest in where you're going to go from here. You're going to sit in this position for 6 months. We're going to assess your skills. We're going to see where you fit in the organization. Then you'll have the opportunity to go in a different part of the organization. They don't do that well enough. The other thing corporations don't do is the onboarding process. And this, honestly, Chris, it applies to really every employee to do these things well. Right. In order to retain the talent. But onboarding, the worst thing you can do for a veteran is hire them. And on day one, when they show up gung-ho, ready to show their best, you say to them, oh, well, we don't have your desk ready. Oh, you need a laptop. We don't have that ready for you. Just sit here and read this manual for today. Right. That is the worst thing for a veteran. Because we are experienced at, you go to your next duty station, you are on the job.
You're rocking.
Second, right? You're not sitting around waiting. So that, you know, or assign a mentor to the veteran, a buddy, if you will, to help them get acclimated to the company. It'll be their go-to person. So those are the kind of things from a corporation perspective I saw as bottlenecks. For veterans and the candidates, it's really, as we were talking about, understanding your skills, know yourself, what you're good at. And that takes some time to really sit down and say, okay, I did this in the military. What skills are associated with that, right? What did I like about those jobs? You know, what did I not like about those jobs? And really understanding what your skills are, and then learning to practice your story, right? And describe why your experience is associated with those skills and what you bring to the table. The other thing for veterans is to research companies. They should know if those companies fit their values, if their social consciousness, all of those things. Be prepared to interview the company as much as the company is interviewing you. You need to know, is there an advancement possibility? Is that important to you? Is this company socially conscious? Is that important to you? You know, do they have a veteran resource group? Is that important to you? The worst thing you can do is accept a job and then find out 2 weeks later that the company stands for something you are holistically against.
Yeah.
And right. And then you feel like you're stuck, or you end up leaving. And then again, you're part of that statistic. So don't settle. It would be my advice to the veterans as well.
No, I love both sides of things. You just brought some golden grenades for corporations, Fortune 5,000 companies, to help, you know, not only find quality veteran talent, military spouse talent, stuff like that, but how to actually onboard them and keep them. Because we've all heard the stats, but if you haven't heard them, Ambitious Vet, 240,000 veterans are getting out every single year. 65% will leave within 24 months within their first post-military career, leaving over 100,000 plus, just looking for that more meaningful, challenging, and growth-focused careers that are out there. There's just a disconnect. And Robyn, I'm excited for you to dive in on how you guys are bridging that gap. So, you know, do you want to dive into that next?
Yeah, sure. So we built an algorithm to really look at the job description of a military occupation and not just translate the title of that job. but to translate the actual skills that go along with that job. So infantry in the Marine Corps or the Army, of course, there's security there, but there's also things like equipment maintenance, logistics, maintenance reporting, operational planning, leadership, teamwork, all of these kind of other skills that could then be transferred to really almost every civilian occupation out there. So we built the algorithm to translate the military occupations into a skills profile. Our program does not use a resume. It does not use job descriptions. It does not require the veteran or military spouse to search or apply for jobs first. We are really the online employment matchmaking service. Our skills of the veteran's profile match to the employer's skills job profiles. So employers pick exact skills that they need for each job, and then our algorithm matches them with the candidates. So it really is taking out all the noise of, how do I translate my skills? How do I connect with an employer to use those skills? And then aligning salary and location so that if a veteran wants to get out and they're in Texas and they want to get out and move back to South Carolina, they've got those opportunities. So we really took a more simplistic approach to the matchmaking. It's, I've said this on several occasions. It's about, when I got my first job in high school, I went into the grocery store and said, I really like to work here. I've got great customer service skills. I love numbers, all these things. And they hired me. It comes back to that, I didn't have a resume then, they didn't look at a piece of paper to talk to me. They looked at the skills I brought to the table. And that's what we want to get back to. So that's what Veterans Ascend is all about. It's those connections, facilitating the interviews. 95% of veterans and military spouses get filtered out when they apply for jobs online. Because again,
Wow.
those task-based job descriptions versus 1,000 different ways to write a resume, right? We eliminate all of that, and we instantly match the veterans or military spouse to an employer's decision maker or hiring manager who is intentionally hiring military talent, because that's the only people in our talent pool. So it really is about facilitating the interview based on skills.
No, I love that. And I love the technology portion of it, right? Because
Yes.
it's less of a manual process. Because
Yes.
I think offline, I told you I was going to connect you with a major Fortune 500 company employee resource group leader, which I still plan on doing that. But the same thing, whenever I was talking to him, even that Fortune 500 company, if I said the name, a lot of people would know what the name is.
Right.
You're talking to their HR managers. They're all just like, well, what's the process to hiring a military person? It's all discombobulated, and they don't even know how to translate a resume, let alone how to interview a veteran. So ambitious vet, if you're listening to this and you're just like, well, I don't even know how to position myself as a strategic asset to a Fortune 5,000 company, I request that you do connect with Robyn Grable and Veterans Ascends. So you just make sure you're getting ahead of the ball and be proactive as you're going in. So you already know your skill sets. You don't have to worry about those electronical things that weed out resumes that don't match the keywords from their job description. Weed that all out. That is past-based stuff. So I want to throw this back over to you, Robyn. Because one thing I'm seeing inside the veteran employment, veteran development community is a contingency approach to hiring, right? Which means, over here with me, you may have a different, perspective on it. But over here with me, I hear that as like, okay, let's just put a high volume of veterans or mil spouses within a job, right? Make sure they get in there for 90 days. Who cares if they stay after that? It's kind of what I'm seeing. So how is like the technology being able to make sure that these veterans and mil spouses that are getting into these Fortune 5,000 companies are sticking inside and growing and stuff like that? How is it setting up both corporations and ambitious vets for success and a profitable, lucrative career long-term?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, I think it sounds like a broken record, Chris, but it really, again, comes down to skills alignment, right?
Right.
And for the veteran and military spouse, knowing what their skills are, knowing how to tell their story, knowing how to be proud of those skills and saying what their experience is and why they add value to an organization, but it also comes down to finding the organization that's right for them. So, and not settling for anyone that doesn't value their skills or doesn't want to have the conversation about their skills, just says, oh, you're a veteran, you're a military spouse, I want to hire you, I'll bring you in and we'll see what happens. No, that's not good enough, right? That
Yeah.
shouldn't be what you want for your career. You should want a company that takes the time to say, you are a veteran, let's have a conversation. Tell me about your experience. And then really dig into, well, we've got these positions within the company. I think you'd be a great fit here. Do some research on those positions, network, find other veterans that work for those companies. Talk to them, have a call with them, ask them about the culture of the company, ask them about the questions that matter to you, and really do your homework. I think, unfortunately, what happens is for people getting out of the military, they don't do this well enough in advance, right? They don't start early enough. So they're under a time crunch when they do get out. They now need to get a job very quickly. So, and I understand that. I was a single mom when I got out of the Navy. I had to go get a job. So I did go get that job as an administrative assistant. And of course, then life takes over and you're like, okay, I'm working, 50 hours a week. I've got responsibilities at home. When do I have time to then focus on figuring out what I want to do next? Right.
Right.
So, but it's really important because if you don't, like me, you'll end up losing 12 years of career progression and salary advancement, right? So, so it's really about knowing who they are and what they want to do and finding the companies that value that. And then for companies, it's again about creating very good processes that aren't just, okay, you're a veteran, I want to hire you, but really understanding why and how that veteran fits in your organization. At the end of the day, veterans, we're still human beings, right? We're still a part of the human population. So
we feel, yeah.
Right, exactly. We do. And we're not all, we're not all perfect for every job, right?
No,
just because we have dedication and loyalty and discipline and time management doesn't make us right for every job in every company. So, and unfortunately, some employers think that, well, you're a veteran, so you should be all of these things without really understanding if those things fit your organization or fit the job, right?
That is so true. I mean, man, I'm just looking at the last corporation I became a sales trainer for, and just like as soon as I got in there, they thought I was going to do a kung fu backflip. They were waiting for a kung fu backflip, right? And it wasn't really, like leveraging and really seeking to understand how we learn, right? Because one thing that I've picked up on even the ambitious vet community is if you plug in frameworks or roadmaps and bring our discipline and plug it in there, right? The independent thinking, critical thinking, and problem solving skills just work themselves out. But it really is, making sure that we have a roadmap. Hey, this is where I'm at. The dots up there for success. How do I get there? And having a logical process in place so we don't get emotional or we don't feel like cultural misfits or whatever the next buzzword is inside the veteran employment space. So, Robyn, what I love about what Veterans Ascend is doing is like you're bridging the education gap with the podcast as well. I think this is very forward thinking. I think it's, a lot of corporations are starting to grow out of that contingency way of hiring. So Ambitious Vet, I'll have the link in the show notes below for Veterans Ascend's podcast. You can start educating yourself on Robyn, all her amazing guests, and the technology that she's leveraging to really accelerate you finding a fulfilling career based on your inherent skill sets, which I think is amazing. Robyn, is there anything else you want to add to that?
It really, it is an opportunity for these corporations to hire our military talent, and the return on investment for spending just a little bit of extra time educating your hiring managers or really digging into the skills. There's a study out there, IBMF put out a study, and it said for companies with just 1,000 employees, if you hired 1 in 4 of your new hires that are veterans, the return on that investment is $325,000 a year. So when you think about that small investment you make on the front end to hire the right veteran, to put them in the right job, they're going to be successful. They're going to stay longer. They're going to add more productivity. You're going to get a greater return on that investment. You won't be as frustrated about hiring more veterans, right?
Yeah.
So it's really about do some investment on the front end because it will pay you back in the long run. Same thing for the veterans. Do that research up front, invest that time, and it will pay you back in the long run. So yeah, great stuff, Chris. Thank you so much. The podcast has been great because it's really been a way for me not only to tell the stories of some of the great programs that are out there at these corporations like Amazon, Comcast, some of these big players, but really digging into what their programs mean for our military community. But it's also a way for me to bring forward what we're doing at Veterans Ascend and why it's so important. So yeah, it's great. I love doing them.
Yeah, ambitious vet. Make sure to check that out. Robyn, I'm going to wrap this whole thing up with a tradition here, the 3 golden grenades. Okay. So what would be 3 wisdom bombs that you would drop in here for any ambitious vet that's struggling to find that life satisfaction, that fulfillment, or maybe just take their success to the next level? What would be 3 golden grenades?
Yeah, so the first one certainly is knowing yourself. Take a skills inventory, take a self inventory, really dig down deep and say, okay, it's all about me. What do I need to do? Do I like working with my hands? Do I want to be behind the scenes? Do I like being in front of people? Whatever that is, know yourself, take inventory, do your research. Second thing is volunteer, get involved, right? Help others, help their organizations. There are so many great organizations out there, whether they're veteran or military related or not. Find a passion that, whether it's in your career field or not, but helping others succeed will again come back to you tenfold. You never know who you're going to meet as a volunteer or just having that conversation. And then third, network and research. Today, it's all about connections. It's all about finding the connections to the right company, to the right hiring manager. And that's what we're facilitating with Veterans Ascend. But you can do that yourself as well, in addition to what we're doing by networking on LinkedIn, some of the other resources. Find other military connections at companies that you want to work for. Connect. Help others connect to things that they need, because again, it'll come back to you tenfold. So yep, that would be my advice there, Chris.
That's some great golden grenades. So just to wrap this whole thing up, if there is an ambitious vet that's in here looking for their next career, it's no cost to them, correct?
Correct. It's all free for our military families and military service members.
So we'll have the link to the website below Ambitious Vet. Make sure to go in, plug in there, and be connected with some of the top corporations out there that are doing it right, hiring you based on your skill sets. Also with corporations, Robyn, from what I remember from our conversation, if a corporation's listening to this, right, it's a better way to pay subscription fee versus high-end recruiting fees, right? To pay ongoing subscription fees and automate the whole process versus, hey, let's go pay someone an outrageous retainer to find talent, right? So where can corporations go find out more about how to, lower the costs and still get the talent they're looking for?
Absolutely. So veteransascend.com, you can read about us there. You can sign up there. Our subscription fees are very cost effective. We have monthly options based on hiring activity or annual unlimited options based on company size. And what it really comes down to, we become your connection and your resource to the military talent out there. We're also on every social media channel, LinkedIn, just looked up Veterans Ascend, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just really find us out there. But everything you need to know is on veteransascend.com. And again, our process is to be part of jumpstarting, accelerating, or complementing your military talent initiatives, not replacing them like a contingency search or a direct hire placement. We want to just connect you to the talent, and then the rest of it is up to you. So it's all about facilitating those connections.
That's great. I love it. It's a great ecosystem. So Ambitious Vet, whether you are a CEO of a corporation or you're just looking for that next career path when you're going through the process, make sure to enter in code when it's asking for referral AV network, so that Robyn and her team can just ensure that they know that you're coming from the Ambitious Vet Network. Would really appreciate it over here. Robyn, thank you for just being an ambitious vet that's forward thinking, out there in the trenches, just making a real impact and just accelerating purpose out there for our veteran community. Thank you for joining the show.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Again, thanks to Alpha Coffee. Ambitious Vet, if you're looking for a premium coffee to fuel your warrior lifestyle, look no further than Alpha Coffee, a veteran and milspouse owned online wholesale and brick and mortar business that started in a basement and has now grown to well over 1 million in sales because of the warrior ethos. Again, also, if you haven't already gone and check out their 12 plus blends on their website and get 10% off for being a military member. Also, an additional 10% off for a total of 20% off for subscribing to your favorite flavor. Check out all their blends from cocoa to their gear by alpha.coffee/ambitious vet. Again, visit alpha.coffee/ambitious vet.